I keep hearing the same story from friends who live in tiny apartments. They grab the cheapest recliner they can find, set it against a wall, and a week later they are complaining about the seat sinking, the footrest never staying up, and the whole thing taking up half the room. It's a classic buyer's regret. You think you're saving space, but you end up with a piece of furniture that feels like a permanent obstacle. So the question is, does the wall hugger electric power recliner actually feel like a smarter buy? Or is it just another cheap look, big problem option? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first saw this chair, what caught my eye was the promise of a wall hugger design. The idea is simple. The frame is built to sit flush against a wall, shaving off a few inches that would normally be lost to a traditional recliner's backrest clearance. In a studio where the living room doubles as a work-from-home office, those inches can mean the difference between fitting a desk and having to shuffle furniture around every night. That's the kind of practical benefit that matters more than a glossy spec sheet. I tested the recliner in a couple of real-world scenarios. The first was a lazy Sunday afternoon in a 350-square-foot apartment. I pulled the chair up against the wall, plugged in the USB port, and settled in with a book. The footrest glides out with a soft electric hum, and the linen upholstery feels cool at first, then softens as you sit. The USB charger is a small, but surprisingly useful addition. My phone stayed at 100% while I binge-watched a series, and I didn't have to scramble for an outlet that was tucked behind a couch. For anyone who lives in a space where outlets are scarce, that little convenience can feel like a real upgrade. The second scenario was a more active use case. A home theater night with a group of friends. We had a 55-inch TV mounted on the opposite wall and needed a seat that could recline far enough to be comfortable without blocking the view. The wall hugger reclined to a pleasant angle, and because the footrest pulls forward rather than down, it didn't interfere with the TV's line of sight. The chair's grey linen fabric blended nicely with the modern decor, and the low-profile back didn't stick out like a bulky armchair would. It held up well through a couple of movie marathons, and the electric mechanism never stalled or made a grinding noise. Now, no product is perfect, and there are a few trade-offs to keep in mind. The most noticeable limitation is the weight capacity. The frame is designed for a typical adult, but it isn't built to support a heavier load. If you're looking for a recliner that can accommodate a plus-size user, you might find the seat a bit too narrow and the recline mechanism strained after a while. That's not a hidden flaw so much as a design choice. The space-saving frame can only be so robust without becoming bulky. Another practical concern is the fabric. Linen looks elegant and does a decent job of staying cool in the summer, but it's also prone to catching on pet claws or getting stained more easily than a synthetic weave. If you have cats that love to claw at furniture or kids who spill juice, you'll need to be diligent about spot cleaning. The chair does come with a removable cover, which helps, but it's not machine washable. You'll have to hand wash or use a gentle upholstery cleaner. For households with high traffic or messy habits, that extra maintenance step might feel like a downside. Battery life is also something worth mentioning. The chair runs on a standard 110-volt plug, and the electric motor draws a modest amount of power, but if you plan to use the recline function for long stretches, say, an entire movie marathon, you'll want to keep the power cord nearby. There's no built-in battery, so the chair isn't truly portable in the sense of being able to move it around the room without staying plugged in. That's fine for a dedicated living room spot, but if you imagined moving it between a bedroom and a den, you'd need to plan for an outlet in each location. Who should consider buying this recliner? If you're living in a small apartment, a studio, or a condo where every square foot counts, the wall hugger geometry is a genuine space saver. It works well for anyone who wants a single, comfortable seat for reading, watching TV, or charging devices without committing to a full-size recliner that dominates the room. The electric recline and USB port also appeal to tech-savvy users who appreciate a little convenience at the touch of a button. Even a single-person household can benefit, especially if the living area also serves as a home office, and you need a chair that can transition from work to unwind. On the flip side, skip it if you need a heavy-duty chair for larger bodies, or if you have young children or pets that will constantly test the fabric. Also, if you're hoping for